Hello everyone, Gaara here and welcome to a brand new deck tech video. Today I'm gonna talk about a deck that I'm going to submit for DreamHack's Winter. DreamHack Sweden, Jönköping Winter, and it's gonna be my Druid deck. And yeah, why am I gonna talk about it? Well, it's doing pretty well, and I think Midrange Druid is kinda underrated right now. And I still think it's very, very powerful. So let's just, without further ado, just talk about the deck list here. Because most of you guys are very familiar with Midrange Druid. So first of all, why do I play Midrange Druid over aggro Druid? I think aggro Druid is just pretty wacky. That's wacky stuff. It's pretty good against other aggro decks, but on the downside, it's very bad against control decks. It's also losing against Control Warrior, which I really don't like. So if the opponent has a War Axe, you will most likely lose the game. And also if he has a Brawl, you will most likely lose the game, just because you're so dependent on your small minions sticking on board and surviving and doing a lot of damage over time. But Warrior is pretty good at clearing that stuff. So also it's pretty mediocre against Freeze Mage, and yeah, I just hate. It's good in the mirror and good against aggro decks, but like decreasing your good matchups for Druid, I really hate that. And those are like very popular decks in tournaments like Freeze Mage and Warrior, so I don't like just having those bad matchups with a deck where those matchups should be good. So that's like the main reason, but I think that Midrange Druid has also like a lot of potential to beat all aggro decks and also to beat Hunter. So double innovate, pretty standard. You would play that in every Druid deck. Living Roots, so that's like the main thing. Like the main different thing about my Midrange Druid deck. I think this card is it's underrated in terms of how powerful Living Roots is. So Living Roots has a lot of upsides. Playing this in Midrange Druid has a lot of upsides and very few downsides. So what would you play instead of this card to improve your aggro matchups? Probably Zombie Chow. But Zombie Chow is a card you wanted to avoid. It's like running double Zombie Chow is obviously very good against every aggro deck. If you have it turn 1 and then you have like an innovative aggro follow up, it just crushes aggro decks. But Living Roots is really good against aggro decks as well, but it's much better in late game than Zombie Chow. And on top of that, Living Roots has a lot of synergy with other cards. So when you play Living Roots first, and it's such a flexible card, all those choose cards are so powerful because it gives you like a strategic aspect. So Living Roots, if you go first, you play those 2 1/1s on board. It's insane because even if you don't have a follow-up turn 2, you can utilize your hero power. So if you go first, opponent has, let's say your opponent has 2 Knife Jugglers. If you have just Living Roots and like a totally garbage hand, if you go first and you play the Living Roots and your opponent plays a Knife Juggler, and then you can utilize your hero power to kill the Knife Juggler, and then you could do it the same again. Like if you place another Knife Juggler, you could do it again. It's just like just to see how flexible the card is. And it has super good synergy with Savage Roar. I absolutely love that synergy. Yeah, because your opponent always has to deal with it, and it's very cheap. So even like in late game when your opponent uses like a board clear, you just get the 2 tokens on board and it's like a constant threat. And it synergizes with the spell power of Azudrak, so you deal 3 damage. It's just a great card. And yeah, you can just use it as direct damage to the opponent's face or to kill something like a Knife Juggler immediately. It's just so flexible. Great anti-aggro card, and you want anti-aggro cards because that's like the biggest weakness of Druid. Yeah, opponents just overrunning Druid with tempo plays like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and you want to like stop that at all costs. And I think Living Roots is a great card to do that. Not just Living Roots, but also the Innovate plays, the Wild Growth plays, Wrath Aspirant. So Wildgrowth pretty standard, double Wildgrowth, just ramp. So you don't play any other like 2 drops except the Aspirant. You focus on starting the game with 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana minions. Wrath, also very flexible, so many uses. If you don't have follow-up plays, you cycle, use the Wrath to deal 1 damage to something and then draw a card. And with a Druid you can do 2 damage and draw a card, or deal 4 damage. Or like on turn 3 or turn 2 you can kill like anything that your opponent plays. It's just very flexible and good anti-aggro card, but can also be used to kill bigger stuff. Thanatos Aspirant, as you guys know, the new card, pretty broken, but I don't like playing 2 because it's really bad against control matchups. Not all of them, but against Warrior it's a pretty bad card because it just dies to Vorax. But in a lot of other decks it just survives against Hunter, for example, or Paladin. It will survive and then you can protect it. So it's basically a Wildgrowth with a 2/3 body on board. It's pretty nice to have, but I'd rather have Living Roots as an anti-aggro tool than 2 Thanatos Aspirant. Savage Roar, yeah, it's just great finisher card in a combo Druid deck. I think that's, you can't play Ram Druid. I tried it. I think the best version is really Midrange Druid. Even though Ram Druid would be good in the mirror, it's too weak against Freeze Mage especially. You have like no chance to beat Freeze Mages. It's even bad against Warrior or Priest. It's just bad in a lot of matchups. And Midrange Druid can do almost the same everything Ramp does, but just you have this combo and lethal potential at turn 9. Big Game Hunter, yeah, Druid can't deal with big minions, so you need that tool. It can, and it gives you like a lot of tempo if your opponent really relies on the minion to survive this big minion. You can just have the tempo from there and win the game from there. So it's a great tempo card as well. Mounted Raptor, yeah, the new card that was released. I like it more than Shade, especially against aggro decks. The main reason is I think Druid is just really good at beating control anyways. So you rather want to improve the aggro matchup, and a lot of people are targeting Druid as well as a deck. And Mounted Raptor is much better if you innovate it out or coin it out. I think it's much better than Shade, because against aggro decks you will not let the Shade grow anyways. And I think Shade is just too slow. I was really hyped about this card. For me this is a 3 mana Shredder and has like a lot of potential to just get good cards like the Shredder. And even if you get like a Zombie Chow, like I got sometimes the injured Qualdir, just freaking auto wins you the game. It's a 2/4. It's like the most broken thing to get out of the Mounted Raptor. But even if you just get a Leponym or something, sometimes even Footman, it's pretty good. And there's a lot of 1/3s you can get, and if you get the Shaman card, let me show you. I don't know what it's called. I always forget the name of the Shaman card. Let me just look it up quickly. Dust Devil. If you get this card, it's insane. If your opponent deals with it, usually he can't deal with the second body. And if this would come out, it just auto-wins you the game. Especially if you have Savage Roar. It's just absolutely insane. So you have that crazy potential. It's much better than Harvest Golem. That you get something that wins you the game. And there's like nothing that just loses you the game that comes out of the Raptor. Like you can get that 1/1, but yeah, whatever. It's like you don't expect something crazy to get anyways, but you have the potential. And 3 attack is much better than 2 attack, like than a Harvest Golem, because this card trades into a Shredder, and Shredder is the most popular 4-drop, and that is the main reason why this card I like to play. Like you would trade oftentimes Shade into Shredder anyways, but the minion that pops out of the Mounted Raptor can most of the time even contest what comes out of the piloted Shredder, because it has 2 attack most of the time at least. And oftentimes the minion that pops out has only 2 attack. So this minion can really contest the Shredder, and there's no other 3-drop that can do that. So I really like that, and I like to have the body against aggro decks more, because I want to use my Shade as soon as possible anyways against aggro decks. Yeah, I just like to innovate it out, and then it's like something that sticks on the board. Swipe, also great synergy with Savage Roar, obviously. Swipe, just a great AoE effect, also great with spell power synergy. Keeper, also the best silencer in the game. Shredder, the best 4-drop in the game. And Azure Drake. I just love that with this deck I can really justify playing double Azure Drake, It's pretty slow, it's like control heavy. I like draw. But it has so good synergy with living roots and ref and the swipe. It's just super good to have, so you don't run out of cards. Double Druid of the Claw, it's really good. It's better than Belcher just because you survive a second Death Bite swing and you have the option to charge for damage. So all those choose cards are just very powerful. One Force of Nature, I don't like having a second Force of Nature because it just increases your bad starting hands, and yes, you will less likely have the full combo on turn 9, but usually you don't need a full combo, just have a draw is usually enough with the board, so I'd rather fight for board and yeah, just finish your opponent 7 draw, and just one combo is I think enough. And the thing is just that as you can see, there's really not much room to cut because I wanna play Rag, but later do this more. Emperor, just the best Druid card anyways. If you get it out of Fire Growth and Innovate, it's just insane. Reduces the hand by so much mana, makes it so cheap, and then your opponent will almost always lose just because of the mana disadvantage. You can play so many powerful minions for so low mana cost, and you have more mana. It's just insane. Lore is just so good in control matches. Draws you 2 cards and gives you a 5/5 on the body, and you can heal, so you can play against freeze mages and win against that, and also against hunters and phase decks where you need the heal. It's such a great card to have. Doctor 7 and Doctor 8, just nothing to say there. The best 7 drop in the game and the best 8 drop in the game most likely after Tyrion. Just a lot of aggressivity, so I don't have the full combo, but I have a lot. It's very aggressive deck, but it can also win in control matches, and I really like this, especially against freeze mage. I don't have the room for lower tap because I want to play double Azure Drake for the spell power and the double Druid of the Claw, and just to increase the freeze mage matchup I like Rag. There's a lot of matchups I just like Rag. There's a lot of decks that don't run BGH where Rag can just snipe something, then your opponent has to deal with it. Also finish a card if your opponent is low on life. Great follow up to Dr. Boom. Also when the opponent is out of BGH, you have another. People will usually run either 1 BGH or no BGHs, very rarely 2 BGHs, and if this will not get BGH, then yeah, good luck dealing with it. So this is my deck, I really like it, and I'm also gonna show you some ladder games because it's not just good for tournaments but also for ladder. Hope you guys like it, and see you guys next time.